All right, welcome everyone. I'm going to give a couple of minutes because I know people are going to be just coming in as you will be. But just anyone that is arriving here right now, I invite you to get anything that is going to make this discussion and conversation and workshop the most pleasurable and comfortable to you today. So get your candles, get your spray. I will just tell you, y'all, 8 days, love rose sandalwood spray, like the best I've ever experienced in my life. Seriously. It's so good. Tea, blankies, water, get yourself cozy. Welcome to the Revolutionizing Fempreneurship online forum and winter wealth building workshop. Happy 2023. I'm so excited and honored to have you here. And I'm super stoked to dive into this conversation with y'all and our featured panelists today. Happy New Year's. Folks, again, are coming in. I would love for you to share in the comments where you are joining us from and what industry you're in. This includes you panelists as well. So if you can share where you're coming from and where you're joining us from and what industry you're in, would love to hear. Okay. Northern California. Yes, Khadija, I am from Petaluma. Well, I'm not from Petaluma. I'm from a little town called Quincy, Illinois in the Midwest, but I live in Petaluma, California now. Boulder. Where else? I know Ronnie is from Pawtucket, Rhode Island. And also Emily, our OBM, our business manager, lives in the Denver area. So Nice, France, Brandy, right now, storytelling, messaging, and creating heart-centered business is my industry. And let me see what else we have here. Business coach, Business Queen Academy, Khadija. Yes, and Ronnie is sharing right here. If you feel called, you can go ahead and rename yourself with your first name and where you are from, if that resonates for you as well. Nadia is an embodiment and intimacy coach. I'm excited to introduce this panel here in just a few minutes. And again, as you're coming in, just make yourself feel as comfortable as possible. Anything that you need to feel comfortable during this conversation, we welcome it right now. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and get this party started here. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ashley Burnett. My pronouns are she, her. I'm the founder of the business leadership and lifestyle coaching company, Ashley Burnett & Co. And I am just sending you a warm welcome to this community and this forum and this workshop to infuse more pleasure and income and freedom into your mission-driven business. This is our third forum, and I created this initially because of the separation that we've collectively experienced through the pandemic and the deep need to circle together in community at this time and hold each other accountable and inspire each other. And because I see a need to have a conversation about doing business a different way, in a way that really has spaciousness built into the model, that works with the cycles and rhythms of the natural world, that centers self-care and that fills us up with joy most of the time, and without being bound by the shoulds of a crusty old outdated patriarchal business model. The world needs for us to get ourselves into a place and our businesses into a place of alignment so that we can create sustainable systemic change. And that's really my why for this event. And this workshop, and I'm super honored to have you here in shaping this conversation today. I also want to give voice that my intention is that this is a safe space where we honor and respect all identities and recognize that every being can celebrate the feminine in business, even if you don't identify as female or femme. And my intention is that what we create today here and the actions that we collectively take from this conversation are rooted in love and benefit all beings everywhere. And so thank you for being here. Before we drop into any kind of gathering or event here at Ashley Burnett & Co., we like to ground it in. So I invite you all, anyone participating today, to close your eyes if it feels aligned, and just take 3 deep grounding breaths and collectively as a community today, setting our intentions for what we want to receive out of this. So feeling your feet planted firmly on the earth, elongate your spine to its upright posture. Taking a moment to just ground into this present moment, nowhere else to go, nothing else to do but to be here for this conversation today. And exhaling the stale air out of the mouth, inhale fresh energy through the nose. Exhale, release anything out of the mouth, twice as long exhale. HA, oceanic breath, inhale nose. Exhale, release it out of the mouth. And one more just like that, inhale nose, sip a little more air in at the top, pause, retain the breath. Exhale, audible exhale. And then allow for your breathing to come back to normal, and just setting an intention for your time here today, what it is that you would like to receive from this experience today. And when you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes. If you have a candle nearby, I invite you to light it. You can infuse that intention into your candle. I've got mine right here. All right, so we're gonna rock some quick intros here. I'll introduce myself and the panelists and a couple of my team members, and I'll share a little bit about the flow of the forum and the workshop, and then we're going to dive right into this conversation. So again, I'm Ashley Burnett. I'm the founder and CEO of the business leadership and lifestyle company, Ashley Burnett & Co. I'm a women's business and leadership coach, women's circle and retreat facilitator, earth-based ritualist, and a dancer, mover and shaker. I've been on this path of entrepreneurship for over 20 years now. Entrepreneurship is in my blood. My mom and her sister were all entrepreneurs. And consequently, that's become my path. But I have also witnessed my mom burning the candle at both ends and burning out. And I've been called to run, to teach women to run their business in a different way. And I've been, facilitating groups, facilitated hundreds of classes, workshops, events, and retreats virtually and in person. And retreat leading is my jam. I lead retreats in person and virtual, but my in-person circles happen here at my Petaluma, California retreat space on unceded Coast Miwok land, what is now known as Sonoma County, and the founder of the Revolutionizing Fempreneurship Inner Circle. And I believe that, you're here for a reason today. You are not here by accident, that you are ready to create change, and that you want to do that in community and in this type of aligned conversation around revolutionizing fempreneurship. And the fact that you're even here and participating in this conversation today, I believe in and of itself is revolutionary. That may not feel like to you right now in this moment. And I wish it wasn't revolutionary, but it is. And to create a business that goes against the status quo and against the grain, right? And the model that we've been shown, and to do it your way, in a way that's fully aligned with your energetics, your set of circumstances, your rhythms, and the rhythms of the natural world, that's revolutionary. And so thank you for being a part of this conversation. What I'd like to hear before I introduce the panelists in the comments right now, I'd love to hear what you're hoping to receive from this conversation and why you showed up today. So maybe a one-word intention or phrase of what it is that you would like to receive from this experience today. Would love to hear in the chat. And welcome everyone from all over the world here. Jennifer Blue, hi Gigi, belief in ease. I love that. Julie, are you really here? I love you. I'm hoping to receive inspiration. Yes. I love that. What else? And panelists, feel free to chime in and share your intentions. And I will share, for me, my intention for today is just community is coming together. Yeah, to inspire and be inspired, new tools, tips and tricks. I was sharing earlier that we need to be on the other side of holding space. And many of us have sat in these circles, having conversations like this, having a moment to look at our new year ahead, right? And a lot of you have led those kind of circles. And for me, I went to a gathering just the other day and was like, thank the higher powers that be that got me to that gathering, so that I could be on the other side and have that spaciousness, right? Motivation to step on the path and get moving in the right direction. Las Vegas, hey. Knowledge from your experiences, inspiration, connection, and alignment. I believe in ease. Believe in ease. I love it. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and welcome this panel. I'm super, super stoked and honored to have this incredible panel here with us today. So without further ado, welcome to the stage here. And I will just say really quickly that these are slightly condensed bios. And if you want to read their full bios, go to ashleyburnett.co/forum. Please follow these women on Instagram, social media, find them, talk to them. They're amazing. You will see. So first off, Brandy Jordan. Brandy is and yes, please, do a little wave. Is a board certified lactation consultant, pediatric sleep specialist, newborn care specialist, and postpartum doula. In 2009, she opened the Cradle Company, Pregnancy and Postpartum Resource Center. And in 2018, she founded the National Association of Birth Workers of Color. And her work as a consultant, parenting group leader, and in-home practitioner has led her to develop a unique philosophy of gentle parenting techniques that are practical and healthy, in a healthy approach for the whole family. And I know you also do business coaching work as well. So I just want to put that out there. Incredible woman that I met at this really, really rad retreat last year. So grateful to have you here, Brandy. Nadia Munla is an embodiment and intimacy coach who helps visionaries play at their erotic edge in both love, life, and leadership. She is the creator of Embody by Nadia, an embodiment method that has helped thousands of women connect to their pleasure, power, and play in erotic mapping, and a sensual journey of erotic archetypal discovery. So I'm super stoked to have you here today, Nadia. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Kanu Priya is a trained trauma-informed therapist, passionate about helping women understand the impact of energy on their lives and their relationships. Her approach blends spirituality and psychology through inner child and ancestral constellations work that heal hidden traumas and break limiting patterns. Her coaching program, The Heartbeat Solution, inspires women to heal their past so that they can bring back joy, love, and peace into their present. And Kanu's also one of our beloved ABC alums as well. So I'm just super excited to have her here and live from New Delhi right now. Thank you so much for being here live. And Khadija Yansani has been a speaker, coach, and consultant for nearly 2 decades and has passionately dedicated her life and work to supporting women in recognizing their brilliance and delivering their unique contribution. She's led and organized hundreds of women's groups, programs, seminars, and classes, worked with dozens of corporate companies, and her signature program is the client creation program. And Khadija, just super stoked to have you here today. Welcome. And last but not least, Ronnie McNeil, who is our ABC Community Care Coordinator and Virtual Retreat Assistant, and will be facilitating this conversation today between our panelists and audience. And she also runs the virtual side of our ABC and co-retreats for our RevFem Inner Circle and Solstice Sisterhood programs, and runs our members forum, and also helps our clients gain new tools to create their own rituals for their community. They're trained ritualists, been doing this work for many, many years as well. And so just super grateful to have you here as well, Ronnie. Emily Powell, our OBM, will be our business manager, will be just making sure everything's flowing today, not on camera, but is here supporting the background as well. So just a big shout out to our team. I like to do a quick unmute woot woot moment before we start anything. So I'm just gonna ask ask the panelists to do that really quick. So let's do a quick unmute woot woot. Woot woot. Woot. Awesome. So let's give it up for this panel. Y'all are freaking amazing. I'm so excited to have each of you here with us today. And before we dive into this, I just want to share a little bit more about the flow so that you know what to expect. So in a couple of minutes, I'll be asking the panelists a series of questions that I've curated, and we will riff off of those questions together, gaining the perspective of our panelists. And from there, we'll shift into a segment where we'll answer your questions. So you will get to submit questions town hall style, where you'll ask a question, you'll be able to get the perspective and insight of our panelists from there as well. For this segment, we do invite you to put any questions that you have into the Q&A feature on Zoom so that your questions don't get lost in the chat. Also, if you see your question already posted and you like a particular question, we invite you to hit the like icon so that we know more than one person wants that question answered, and we can prioritize that. We may not get to all the questions that get submitted for that part. Lastly, when we will end the forum around 12 o'clock noon, we'll take a quick movement mindset, money kind of mindset shift and into this Rise and Thrive Winter Wealth Building workshop. So we'll kind of have a little movement moment shift into the workshop and have some clarity on how to move forward with your financial goals with more ease in the coming year. And then we'll wrap that around 1 o'clock and have some time for Q&A during that workshop as well. Also, just to be letting you know, we're in an enrollment period for our programming here at ABC, which does not happen very often. So I will take a little bit of space towards the end of the workshop to share how you can take this work to the next level, should that feel in alignment for you. So I'll just share that a little bit later during the workshop. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive into these questions. So we're talking about running business against the grain, against the norm, against the status quo in a way that's outside of the box. We're also talking about doing business in a way that honors the feminine and finds a sense of balance between action and, receptivity, right? Doing and restoration. This is one of the questions that we like to ask at all the forums, and it's a bit of a two-part question. What is one way, panelists, that you are running your business against the grain in an outside of the box way? So what's one of the ways that you feel like you're running your business in an outside of the box way against the grain? And what kind of challenges have you come up against as you were implementing this, and how did you overcome that? So I want to just open it up to the panelists here. Anyone feel inspired to go for it? Brandy's ready.
No, I was going to say, because the first thing popped in my mind was actually pretty funny, is that, outside the grain in the industry of birth work was to actually make money. And so me being someone saying that I was going to get paid and get paid really well was something that was outside the grain that, you know, in 2016, I was like a pariah for saying that people should make money as birth workers. And that while it shouldn't be a luxury, it's not on the back of women to actually provide this service for free when the government or wherever should be creating these, you know, services for new parents. And so I think for me, from the beginning, kind of thinking about how do I make it sustainable for myself and the families that I serve was against the grain to be talking about, you know, money at all, to be mentioning it, because it's a labor of love. It's something you should be just doing from the kindness of your heart, was against the grain. And, you know, also talking about pricing in a way that was wildly different than what other people were pricing their services at. And so, you know, this idea like no one will pay this amount for services, you know, being able to say it's not about the amount, it's about them feeling that I'm the person who's going to make this experience something special for them. That's what they're paying for. And that doesn't have a number attached to it. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's kind of how that, for me, when you asked that question, that's what came up right away.
I love it. I love it. And I love that you're weaving in this money piece right away because, you know, it's a really important conversation. And birth workers are, I mean, it's like the depths of work. You know, it's like the depths and soul of work. I had a home birth and I'm just so grateful for that support, you know, and so thank you so much for giving voice to that. What else is coming through? And also panelists, feel free to kind of piggyback on some of those comments that come up. Nadia.
Well, you know, it's beginning of the year, so everyone's in like planning mode. And a fairly new thing that I've been working with, I mean, I've been now running my coaching business, I'd say about 9 years, I think. And every year it was always like I would have the plan, the map, come December, come January. I'd be like, all right, these are the months that we're launching this, we're doing that. And after about 8 years of trying to do it that way and realizing it never goes that way, I have decided it's just, it makes a lot more sense to actually follow what my body is saying in the moment and in the season. And so I've actually been doing that for quite a while, but my mind kept going back into strategy and planning. But then it would never work because my body would be like, nope, we're actually not running that program, or, oh, we're actually doing this other thing that I'm excited about. And so I've finally surrendered to just not having a plan. So I literally have no idea what I'm doing this year.
Love it. Yeah, I mean, it's releasing that is completely outside of the box at this point, right? Where it's like releasing the norm that we have to actually have a plan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trusting the body's wisdom. Okay, what else is coming through?
Absolutely. Yeah, I just would love to piggyback off of both what Nadia and Brandy said. You know, I don't typically think of it as it being outside of the box. You know, I feel like growing up, people would always say, you know, like I'm the black sheep, or that Khadijah is just in her own world. But like being out of the box is just me being myself. Like I will do the things that I want, no matter what other people are saying. If they're like, oh, summits are whack, or a 3-day retreat, or vision board, don't vision board. It's just like, if it feels good to me and aligned with me, I'm going to do it, because that's why I got into business in the first place. So always stopping to check in and make sure that what I'm doing is resonant. There are always going to be people who have something to say about it, but I feel like it's the thing that has helped me really grow into my power as a woman and as a business owner, to like stand behind my choices and what I choose for myself and for my business.
Yeah, I love that. And to me, that's about releasing the shoulds, you know. Kanu.
I so resonated with that I had to put in a word here, releasing the shoulds, because before doing what I'm doing today, I was running another business, and that was completely with the grain, if I can call it that. I was doing everything right because I come from a management background, and I was doing everything to the T, but I was exhausting myself and I wasn't making money. And now I'm just following what I want to do and following what I'm deeply called to do, rather than what I should be doing. I'm choosing to work with women I'm choosing to work at my own pace. I've learned with you, Ashley, to work with the seasons and my body and my calling. And I think that's worked so well for me that I would really encourage any woman out there who's listening to this that you can just go with your body's wisdom. It really knows when you need to do what. And yeah, like Nadia said, the plans may or may not work, but your body's wisdom always will.
Yep. Beautiful. Yeah, I love that. And I just feel like sometimes these concepts, it's simple, but it is, again, revolutionary because it isn't, unfortunately, the way the world has been set up at this point. So we're breaking the systems down. And as you all know, well, maybe you don't all know, but I'm a big advocate of taking breaks. And so I just got back from a month-long winter sabbatical. And I'll tell you, this is the third year I've done this. And I have had, in terms of like coming into where did I struggle? I mean, I just deservability about being able to take that time off and, being able to feel like I'm still worthy if I'm not working for a certain period of time, like these kind of things, right? Because I think at the beginning of entrepreneurship, of really building, I've been an entrepreneur for a very long time, but it was one set of entrepreneurship, and then I stepped into this coaching world about 10 years ago, and it was like wearing a badge of honor, working really hard, 12-hour days, staying up till 2 a.m. and never taking a break, right? And so I had to kind of unlearn that too, of not taking breaks. So I think that's one of my big ones that I'm really passionate about. I'm also a massive self-care advocate, as many of our panelists know here, and many of our panelists are also. And I'm also an earth-based ritualist and work closely with the cycles and rhythms of the natural world for sustainability in business and life. And I'm curious, panelists, what are some of the ways that you have been prioritizing self-care and restoration over this winter season specifically, and maybe one of your favorite go-to practices that you've been working with specifically this winter, and how that has affected your personal and professional life. So what are some of the ways? Yeah, Khadija.
Yeah, so one of the things I did is when I went to your women's circle. I can't remember when that was, maybe about a month ago. And I think you live maybe 45 minutes away from me. And I'm saying this because as people who hold space for other people, like, oh, I have to pick up the kids. I did have to get a babysitter. Do I want to drive? And it really wasn't that far. And I remember telling you that I had an exasperating day with my kids, and it just felt so good to drop in. And it had been a while since I had done something like that. And so being in spaces and containers where I feel like I can be held is really critical. Today, I started my day with a hot Epsom salt bath, and that's something that I do regularly. I love that you're bringing up the body, and so many of the other speakers, I notice that my body gets fatigued from doing the multitude of things that I do as a mother and entrepreneur. So just tending to my body in that way. I've been enjoying making some different soups for myself and my family over the last several weeks. And I'm a huge journaler, and it's one of the key ways that I process my emotions, my thoughts, my goals. And those are just some of the things that I've been doing in the last couple of weeks.
It was so good to have you here at that event too.
It was great to be there.
What else?
Well, I would say, it is sort of winter season-y, because usually in the winter we're getting to the end of the year, so we have a lot of year-end goals, like revenue goals. And what to me is actually one of the biggest, I guess, items of self-care was actually choosing at the beginning of the year and then sticking to it at the end of the year, the goal of not necessarily making more money this year, but making the same amount with a lot less effort, with a lot less work, with a lot more ease. And that really, I think as we get to the end of the year, we really ramp up with like, okay, how much more money can we make before we have to look at the final number? And so to me, that was a revolutionary act of self-care, to not necessarily be pressured by the constant rhetoric of every year has to be more growth on a revenue, from a revenue criteria, but that you can actually grow as a person and as a business by making the same amount but shifting your values and shifting your methods. And so I think that was the big one for me.
Yes, and that works great for my next question too. So we'll keep chatting about that. Thanks for bringing that up, Nadia. Brandy, Kanu.
So I just want to add to what's been said. For me, meditation is a huge part of my self-care, because till I drop in and check with my inner self, I feel like I haven't really taken care of myself. So I love the body work too. I spent, I think, the entire last week of 2022 dancing, and I just love that way of self-care and restoration as well. But it's really important to me to drop into meditation daily, especially when I'm taking time off, transitioning from one year to the other, and see what I'm feeling inside, and just connect with my own higher self. And that's really been amazing.
Love it. Thanks, Kanu.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that for me, one of the things, I mean, one, I was forced to slow down because I was sick the whole end of the year, which for me is very out of sorts, because like literally, I think the last time I was sick, I was like 23 or something, and I'm very far away from being 23. And so it was kind of just like, oh, like I just want to do. The universe was like, no, you're just going to rest and, have people take care of you. But, someone asked a question about, me, like, what was one of the things that I was happy about in 2022, which I think was also related to my own self-care, that I really prioritized my relationships with women. And so my girlfriends, like I told them often, like how much I care about them and that I love them. I made us get together and do things and like created that community, which was for them, but it was also for me. And so I think for my self-care, I will continue that in 2023, really being mindful of those relationships, because for me, it's very healing.
It's interesting that you're bringing that up, because at the last panel, that's exactly one of the pieces that came up in that panel, as well as their self-care piece, was to literally go on a walk and call their girlfriend, and just prioritize their women relationships. So I love that. And I want to just speak quickly to one of the things that I'm committing to this winter. I've got so many like kind of self-care pieces too. But actually one of the biggest things I think for me is to actually schedule in the specific self-care pieces that I'm committed to. Because whether that be, getting body work or getting, a dentist appointment or haircut or, whatever it is, but pre-scheduling things like for 6 months. And so that I have them, have a clear container for self-care, whatever that looks like. I mean, I'm constantly doing my morning routine and all the things and improving, kind of my self-care routine here. But that was one of the things where I'm like, okay, it's not like when I think about it, I'm going to do this. It's going to be in my calendar as if it's non-negotiable. Right. So that's one of the things I'm committing to right now. So Nadia brought this up already. I'm a big fan of that concept of kind of this idea of scaling back to either maintain or scale forward. And I would love to hear if you've ever had an experience, and Nadia, for you, it would be great to just hear about maybe some of the ways that you undid to maintain this year. But where you've had an experience where you've let go of the reins, so to speak, worked a little less in your business, scaled back, and actually ended up either maintaining or making more money. Just would love to hear a little bit about that. And maybe Nadia, if you're open to it, we could start with you and what things you focused on to actually scale back and create more spaciousness for yourself.
Yeah. Well, mine was pretty straightforward. I took the first 6 months off of the year. So I just, and by off, I mean, I was still, there was still maintenance. I was still working with clients who had already signed up for, long-term packages. I was still maintaining whatever group program I was running, but I wasn't actively enrolling new people. I wasn't marketing. I wasn't, which to me is 90% of my energy. Everything else fuels me and actually gives me more energy at coaching, but then having to do the part where I talk about stuff, not so much. So I stopped all of that activity that was draining me for 6 months. And as an experiment, I had never done that since I started my coaching practice. And so I wanted to see what would happen. And I would say it was the first year in my, like every year in my business, we had grown, so every year it was a little bit more money, a little bit more money. And I was really in acceptance of the fact that I'm okay if I made the same or less. But I mean, ultimately, I was putting in way, way, way less time, having taken literally 6 months of the year off. And so I was quite surprised actually with the number that came out at the end of the year. It wasn't as much as last year, but it was quite close. And so considering I would say put in 75% less effort because half the year I didn't put any effort. And then even that when I revved back up, it was in a gentler way. It was a lot more present. I had let go of the urgency programming that was running me before. And that was a big reason why I needed a minimum of 6 months to really get that out of my system for real and to trust that I will be supported in some way or another. I still don't understand how it happened, but somehow it did. And I think that really just shifts something because now I'm coming back in and I'm hoping that most of my creations, the intention was that I create from an energy and a vibration of love and not one of fear and scarcity. And we're working on it. There's still, I'm sure there's still pieces that creep in, but overall trying to just offer through my services more love in the world instead of more urgency. So it's still an experiment. It's an ongoing experiment. Well, I'll let you know how this year goes.
I love it. That's so inspiring to just be able to create that space and that you realized you needed that much space to undo the patterning. There's still work to be done, but yeah, what a beautiful experiment to run for yourself. I love it. What else? Anyone else have something to share around that, Brandy?
Yeah, I was just going to say that, I feel like the past 5 years of my growth has been specifically because of either being forced to pull back or deciding to take that big leap to do less. And so when I had a brick and mortar parent and baby store in Los Angeles for a couple of years. Within our first year, we increased ourselves from 80 to 200,000 in that year. And it was going really, really well. And at this point, I was pregnant with my surprise third kid. And I was actually I actually really freaking hate retail. Why do I have this store? And so, I had this dream for 10 years. I was going to open this one-stop shop. And I liked the people part of it and realized this part of the dream wasn't exactly what I had envisioned. And so I basically took the leap to say, I'm just going to close the doors and see what the universe brings. And hopefully it brings something because I'm 7 months pregnant and we have 2 other children at home. And so we better figure something out. But what happened is we actually ended up moving overseas. And what that brought for me is that now also, mind you, this happened the year before the pandemic. So I closed it on time because I would have had a retail store during the pandemic. But with that being said, we moved overseas and I was able to see that I could run a business, still consulting, still, working with families and business owners and not work 60 hours a week and still make the same amount of money. And I don't think I would have believed that had I not taken that leap to say, okay, this is going to cut my revenue by, at that time, down to zero, and ended up making the same amount that following year and working about 20% less of that time. And I think that's happened over and over again where I've learned doing less, actually creates more. So when the pandemic happened, I tell people December 2019, I think we made 70 or 80, and January 2020, I guess it would have been March 2020 by that time. We made like $1,900. And I made a plan that month that I was like, oh, I really want to make 100,000. And I had no reason to think that was possible, seeming as which I was making $1,900 a month. And so everything shut down. We have an at that time, in-person business, and I was forced to pivot. And I created those, some online programming, and basically only worked that 3 months of the year and kind of made what I would normally make in a 12-month period, because that was what was given to me. And so, for me, it's that reminder from the universe often that we're usually given what we can handle. And then when we get that, it's listening to it and not choosing the route of fear. And so I could have said, oh no, I have this kid coming, I should keep this store open, like it's where we're getting our money from. But I would have been kicking myself, a year later when, everything was shut down. And so I think for most of us, the lesson is actually listening to that inner voice, or whatever you want to call it, that's saying to take that leap.
Yep. I love that. And also I want to reiterate this piece around creativity. Like risk is required in business. That's a part of it. And also I think many of us were forced to pivot and get creative especially in 2020. And that's what we can create. We can create whatever kind of reality we want for ourselves. I had a similar situation where the year prior, we had a much smaller, probably 3 times smaller revenue than we did in 2020. And I had just had a baby, and I had scaled back considerably with going down to about, at that point, probably 15 hours a week. And so it was like, oh, okay, so I can work less. It's okay, So I just love that you're speaking to that, getting creative and pivoting and following the, kind of where we're being guided and where the world is taking us and all those divine nudges. Thanks, Brandy.
I'll share.
I just want to add to that. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Kanu. I'll go after you.
Oh, well,
I just want to add to that it's been exactly a year since I signed up with you, Ashley, and I was looking through my revenues, and they have doubled. They have doubled by scaling back. And I really want to, bring that up, that I never thought it was possible. Till last year, I wasn't a believer. I used to think that we need to work hard to earn more money because that's how you've been brought up. And I realized 2 things that have worked for me this year. One is collaboration. So it's really, really been helpful to collaborate with people, and that has brought in money with ease. And the second is my own belief about how much I can charge and who I can work for. So working with you really helped me scale that up as well. So even while working less, I've actually made double the income. And like Nadia said,
yes!
I have no idea how.
Yes! Thanks, Kanu. Celebrating that with you. Khadija.
Yeah, well, I came into 2022 just as I was feeling a little depleted and needing to look at my relationship to social media. And prior to that, I had just been going and going. And one of the things I've learned about my energy is that I'm someone that I can have big energy for a project, and then I need to relax, restore, and then I'll be able to gather my energy and feel really excited and pumped to show up. And so I didn't deliberately say I'm not going to do as much on social media, maybe, slightly, but my pattern completely changed this year. Like where I was doing weekly lives, maybe I did 3 this year, which was not what I was used to. And I just went back to, I want to host a retreat to fill my program. I want to host a summit, get some affiliate partners. And I've made close to the same amount of money as I did last year while feeling depleted and being I've got to find a better way that feels more sustainable. And, I bought a house this year. And so I was nesting, and that felt more of a priority. So just being able to really honor my rhythm. And now I'm in a phase where it just feels fun to do all of these activities that we're starting to feel like a should, I'm supposed to do it. And now it's I want to do it. And so I started my business to live in the I want to, not the I have to. And it feels good as I keep restoring myself, then it's like I'm able to be in that space and give from that place.
Yes, I love that. Thanks, Khadija. And I love that. And Brandy also wrote, the how is none of our business, which is so true. Okay, so I have one more quick question, and then we're going to shift into the Q&A. This is kind of a quick answer. So one of your favorite ways to just bring in more income for yourself quickly, but also with ease. So just, yeah, more income into your business quickly and with ease. Anyone have something that they want to share?
I can go. If it's really quickly and with ease, I have something that in my program, it's called a Client Creation Queen promo cycle. And it's basically an email marketing, and it could be anywhere from 3 to 5 emails. And I find that really, really effective in booking calls, if you do calls, and enrolling new clients. I feel like it works every time. And so although I love gathering people, that can take some time to market and promote. But if it's just like, hey, I want some calls on my calendar, I find that to be very effective.
Well, because it also just takes one call to get a new client, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Who else? Nadia?
Yeah, I find this was a newer thing I started to do in the last year or two, but just running a masterclass on whatever is like I'm super excited about in the moment, because that energy translates and people get excited. And I used to be very much focused on, sort of high ticket depth containers, working only with a few people, and was very resistant to sort of, just the more, low ticket master class workshop-y type thing. But realizing that actually that's an easy yes for people, and it's also easy yes for me, because I'm so in the, like, as long as I'm teaching on something I'm really, really excited about. And I think that was a significant amount of revenue this year that I hadn't planned for. I just was like, oh, I feel like teaching about this, let's do it. And then, oh, next month I feel like teaching about this. And that actually ended up being a significant amount.
Well, and that's again, like following the divine nudge versus the plan, or, following your body's wisdom around what feels good to do, right? Awesome. Anyone else? Brandy?
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I would just, do you want to go? Go ahead, Kanu, and I'll go after you.
so I was just saying that just ask. I just set the intention and I just write it down, and the money just comes. I guess some client thinks of me, somebody calls in, and it just appears. But what I was missing so far was I wasn't even asking. So just ask, write it down, and it'll come.
Thanks, Kanu. Brandy?
Yeah, I would say my response is actually similar to what Kanu said, that I do write down the numbers that I want to come in. And then for me, it's creating conversation, because I feel like when I can create conversation, whether that's in person, through a DM, on the phone, telling a story online, I feel like so many people are disconnected. Feeling connected to someone, even if it's online, for me has always been the easiest way for me to draw people to what I have for them to help them.
I concur. 100%. Yeah, I'm so similar in that way as well. It's just about connection and personal relationships, and even, remembering just because someone might have been a no before doesn't mean that they're a no now, and following up with people. Actually, one of our clients put a quote or said a quote to me in a call, and I wrote it down. I was like, oh, this is so good. The fortune is in the follow-up. The fortune is in the follow-up. And I was like, yes, 100%. Love all of this. So Ronnie, we're going to shift into this Q&A segment. We have a kind of a quick window, so I'll let you ask the first question that you feel called to ask. Are you ready? The fortune is in the follow-up.
So Hannah asked, She's curious, or they are curious about creating space in the calendar for integration and rest in both product and service-based businesses when one, managing a team that requires guidance and support, and two, there is a reality of an external calendar of client needs still tied to a traditional calendar.
I'll let the panel chime in. Brandy.
I was going to say, because I've mostly been service-based most of my, entrepreneurial life, that one of the things that I had to learn, and I plateaued myself so many different years because of it, is that I had to learn how to delegate. And so many of us, we get the team, but we're still telling the team what to do. We're telling the vision and we're coming up with the problem solving. We're creating the, timelines. And so it's taking the time to pick the team that allows you to actually sit in your zone of genius, which for me is being with people. If I'm not talking to people, I'm not showing up on social media, I'm not meeting people, then we're not making money. And so I've had to develop the team to be able to worry about those external calendars and client needs and admin things, which aren't my zone of genius, so that I could actually be more creative and bring in more money, which for me also means more rest and more time with my family and being able to live between LA and France. And so I would say, if you are feeling like managing your team is a huge task, the question I would ask myself as a, fempreneur is, how much am I doing to lead the team to start creating their own leadership, outside of me? Because the real test for me of building a team is like, I've been really sick for the past 3 weeks, and being able to know that like things weren't crumbling, they could, deal with what was happening without me being there, for me has shown like the maturity that I've had in business. And I will just say to Hannah, it's not something that happens quickly. Like I personally had to mature as a CEO for that to happen. That so many years it didn't happen, it was because I wasn't focused and I didn't know how to lead people and I was micromanaging or whatever that looks like. And so it takes time to also hire people to support you in the ways that you need to be supported. Because a lot of people were wonderful people, but they weren't the person that I needed on my team to support me. And so I would say first, Hannah, to be able to have that rest, you have to start thinking about creating a team that allows you to duplicate yourself fully.
Yep. Absolutely. Thanks, Brandy. I can speak to that too, just from taking this past month off. I have a team that has been holding some of the pieces, and then we actually take a 2-week break and we just clearly communicate to our clients. This is when we're dark and we're not available to answer anything, put those autoresponders on, send emails out ahead of time, letting folks know. I think the biggest piece is to clearly communicate your boundaries and your policies to your community up front so that there's no second guessing. They know what to expect. And we're seeing more and more even brick and mortar businesses in the States now taking their winter breaks, taking their winter sabbaticals. And it was like a breath of fresh air to literally, I went to this small town for 2 nights with my hubby. I'm so grateful we got that for the first time since having my 3-year-old. But and there were like a number of the restaurants that were closed, for the holidays. And I was like, yes, this is great. I can't go to the restaurant, but they're taking time off, Nadia.
On the flip side of what Brandy was saying, I think that there's a lot of rhetoric and pressure to have entrepreneurs constantly like bigger is better. The bigger the team, the more you're able to receive support, and the bigger you're going to scale. And there's just like this constant, like, it's got to be bigger and better, bigger and better. And I just would encourage people to pay attention to what the sweet spot for them is in terms of the size of team, in terms of who on the team, like what roles are actually needed and which are a little like just extra. And the idea that there is a place where actually, if you find yourself spending too much time managing, even with really great team members, and it might be the right fit, but it might just be that you have too many for the business that you need, and that actually the financial pressure of having that team, the time pressure of every additional person you have to manage can actually take away from whatever your genius actually is. And so I think it's a very, it's a dance, and certain models are going to require a much bigger team. Certain business models, truly, I found that my sweet spot is one person, one and a half, like a couple of consultants here and there. But every time I tried to go bigger, because I felt this pressure, like, oh, I need to have this person and this person and this person, that's going to make me $1 million. And it's like, okay, by the time you pay all of that and I spend all the time managing those people, I'm unhappy and I actually have less of a profit margin. And that isn't necessarily good for anyone. And so I found that scaling back actually helped bring up our profit margin and made me happier as a human.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think one thing we learned, Ashley, with you was when we decided to like keep career coaching to like 2 specific days. And I know like in the beginning, there was that resistance of like, but some people can't make it. And like in the end, it came to, you know what? If they want to be here, they'll figure it out.
Yep. Yeah. So again, it's like just setting your container and setting your, communications and boundaries and policies up front, and letting people know, like, here's when my availability is, and here's when I'm taking time off, and here's when, so that they're not second guessing. Yeah. And also, Nadia, to speak to, I think we can do that whether we have a team of 1 or we have a team of 10, so I think it's just really letting people know that you don't have to be available for them as a coach 24/7. That's not part of, if that's your industry. I understand that some industries are, on call. So as Brandy knows, like at certain times of being a doula, there's, that all of that kind of on call needed. But even within that, I'm sure there's ways that you can set boundaries. So okay. Should we shift to a different question? I'm just wondering.
So yes, to the anonymous attendee, we will have a recording. You'll get an email in the next 24 hours with that information. From Julie Yarnall. Hi, Julie.
Hi, Julie. Virtual. What's up? Julie's always here in person.
Maybe not today. Oh, here we go. What are your morning rituals? What do they look like? And is there any meaning behind the morning ritual? I know for me, I try to light a candle every morning because I think of my lineage and how many women woke up in the morning to light the kitchen fire so that the cooking could begin. And I find that like it changes my day if I do it every morning.
I love that. Thanks, Ronnie. Khadija.
Yeah, my morning ritual isn't the same every day, although a lot of people they wake up at the same time, they do the same things. But one of the key things that have been with me that I'm committed to is journal writing. So if I wake up in the middle of the night because a child came down, or first thing in the morning, like that just sets my tone for my day, and it just helps me process everything. So I'm a huge fan of doing that. Some mornings I have a bath, not every morning, but that's a key staple in my morning. And even
the bath, the morning bath.
Morning bath, oh my God, resets my whole situation. But I love tidying in the morning and like burning some incense and just kind of setting my tone for the day. Like for me, cleaning is a way that like I clear my energy field. So those are a few things that I do in the morning.
Love it. What else? Anyone else with morning routine?
I would say I just get up and do whatever feels good. Like I'm not I would say disorganized person. Which I think also has made me a good business owner because I'm impulsive and go with my gut and take chances. But that means that some days I feel like doing some things and sometimes I don't. But I think like ritual just as a person during the day for me is that to fill my head with something positive as early in the day as possible, whether that's reading something that's inspiring or listening to it like a really uplifting podcast or reading something. But I would say probably most of my rituals happen at night and not in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's funny. I'm getting like a feed thing right now, and it's like the habits of successful people or something like that. I'm like, oh, okay, interesting. I definitely, for me, it's just dropping into a grounding meditation in the morning, and I do kind of a counting backwards from 10 to 1. Then I go into a whole meta meditation process. If you're not familiar, look that up. And then I have a little prayer that I've created for myself that I say. And then I move into a little bit of movement, because I do think, and it was funny, I was in a yoga class the other day, and they were like doing just a couple of cat-cow-y type stretches. And I was, she said, oh, wouldn't it be wonderful if we all did this every morning? And I was like, I do this in the morning, and it's like, it is so necessary to get that synovial fluid moving first thing. So, that's one of my go-tos, is just getting the fluid of the spine and those joints moving, early in the morning. Okay, we're kind of at time. I really quickly want to rapid fire with our panel. If there was one thing you'd like our community to walk away from this conversation, what would that be today? I'll just go around. Nadia.
Do it your way.
Do it your way. Simple but profound.
What feels good, and listen to your own body and intuition. It will not steer you wrong.
Beautiful. Khadijah. Kanu?
Bring in restfulness into your work. It's really going to help you propel yourself forward.
Beautiful. Brandy?
Have fun, find joy. It's always going to lead you in the right direction.
Yeah, beautiful. Ronnie, you have anything for us?
There's always ease if you just look for it.
Yeah. Yeah, and for me, it's build in the space, build in the spaciousness into your model, create that, space for rest, and check yourself throughout the day, aware timers, little standing desks, all the things that can help you kind of get out of that rhythm of do and into more receptivity. And also, like, if you get writer's block, get up, get out, walk it off, and that's where the downloads usually come in, right? So thank you, everyone here for this panel, for sharing. This is just so inspiring to hear all of your wisdom and the way that you're, doing your business and doing the world. We are going to transition in a moment here to the workshop, but first, I just want to thank each and every one of you for being here and shaping this discussion today. So thank you so much. Let's do a quick unmute to our panelists right now. Quick unmute. Woo, woo.
Everyone, could you just give me a minute to do a screenshot really quick?
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we're just gonna have a face on, and I'm just gonna think, Emily, are you doing the screenshot? I can do one too. Smile. Awesome. Thank you so much.
And also, please follow these folks. They are incredible change-making entrepreneurs. Follow them, check them out, continue to, see what they have to offer. And again, panelists, thank you. So that wraps our forum. We're going to take a quick movement break, and I probably am going to invite in a bio break as well, because I'm feeling that. But everyone's welcome to join. And just to be clear, we'll Panelists, you're not required to stay. We'd love for you to if you can. If not, totally welcome you to go, but we'll shift you to a participant at this point. But I do invite everyone to stand up and do a little movement if you're able to, and it feels good. So just taking a moment to just shake out your body, shake out the little nooks and crannies of what we were just talking about, get into your body for a moment, and then begin to pat down your whole body, patting the body down. I've got a sweater and my fun jammy pants on, y'all. I am feeling comfy. But these are pretty fun, aren't they? Come on. And I've got pink fuzzy slippers on, you know? Hey, it's been a stormy week out here. It's been a slow start. All right, so just pat, 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 tap, tap, tap. When you get up into your jaw, shift into the pats of your fingertips, around your temples, the front of your face, tip of your head, top of your head. Maybe fists for the back, down by the kidneys, adrenals, just waking up those adrenals. And into the piriformis, butt muscles, making sure you're going down the legs, in between the thighs, and then taking a little bounce. Fluttering the lips, opening up the jaw, and then a little ring out. Deep breaths in and out. Yeah, and thank you for submitting your questions. And if we didn't get your question answered, what's great is that we have them now, and we will answer them in some, future communications and things like that. Maybe you stir the pot, hips in one direction, hips in another direction. And then anything else you need to feel comfortable. Okay, so we're gonna take a 1 to 2 minute, really quick bio break. Ronnie, you can hold down the fort here, and I will be right back and just invite you to get anything else you need, anything to write notes, things like that for this wealth building workshop. Okay, I'll be right back.
Hey everyone, my oldest just made me a cup of tea. It's very delicious. So I'm having a little tea break. It's been a busy morning. I hope all of you have had a lovely morning. Thank you so much for coming today and participating and commenting and asking questions. I really loved the questions that came through today. And I mean, if you have other questions, please go ahead and put it in our Q&A. I keep track of the questions. I have a document for it, so I copy them and pop them into a doc. And we love being able to answer those questions later on or at the next panel that we run.
Okay. So in the chat right now, I'd love to actually hear one takeaway from that conversation. I would love to hear that. Maybe a quick takeaway. Maybe one word or one phrase. And also, again, just making sure you have what you need nearby. I want to reiterate, you don't need to have anything figured out yet to do this workshop, and you also don't need to, you're not going to have everything figured out by the end of this workshop, right? But there will be more clarity and inspiration coming through. So I do believe that. Kali Ma says, validating. I got to put on my gloss, people. You know me. Well, some of you do, some of you. For those of you that are new, I got to have that gloss. Listening to intuition. For me, just again, inspiring to, you know, be in community and to hear the wisdom of this panel. Okay, so, all right, y'all can see me now. Reassuring, I love that. Okay, for those of you, just a couple of next right actions from the forum specifically. I would invite you to bookmark any of the, you know, self-care practices that resonated for you, and determine one way that you are planning to ritualize that practice into your daily workflow. And also just one piece of inspiration from this discussion that you'd like to focus on and weave into your business this year specifically. We're also into creating declaration statements in terms, especially at the beginning of the year, I think an explicit statement of what it is that you're calling in for yourself, so that you can work on that over the next, you know, couple of weeks as you're moving forward with your, you know, visions and intentions for 2023. So, okay, let's go ahead and shift into and transition into this wealth building workshop, which is entitled Rise and Thrive 2023. So over the next, you know, 50-ish minutes, I'm going to walk you all through my top 5 actions to build wealth, time freedom, and a thriving business, no matter what the circumstances and the economic climate is doing, and help you get creative on reaching your financial goals with more ease and spaciousness and time freedom woven into your schedule, so that we'll have a little more time for reflection and dreaming and visioning as well. I have been privileged to share this content with hundreds of women through my business and leadership coaching programs. I have one coming up just around the corner, I mentioned earlier, launching at the end of January, called the Revolutionizing Fempreneurship Inner Circle. So I will share just a little bit more about that at the end of this workshop. But my goal and intention for you today is that you leave this training believing that you can and deserve to create more income, that you can get creative and flexible no matter what the economic circumstances are. And when we are bringing in more money collectively as heart-centered women and change makers, this is when we'll ultimately make a greater positive ripple effect in the world. Couple of shocking statistics that I want to share with you. Women make up only 8% of the investors in the world. They are, you know, kind of more apt to live paycheck to paycheck 5 times more than men. They own 51% of all businesses, but only bring in 4.2% of the revenue. Ouch. And only 6% of women make 100K plus per year, and only 2% are millionaires. Yet women are also more likely to give back to charities as their income rises. And so I believe it is important to flex those wealth muscles. And, you know, we're going to cover tools that I know that will allow for you to do that and build wealth and help you get creative and create that positive powerful ripple effect on this call. So regardless of if you've been running your business for, years, 20 years like I have, or you're just considering starting out a business, this will be relevant for you. And I'm excited to dive in with you. So let's go over what we're going to cover on this workshop and the flow of what you can expect of this. So we're going to look at, kind of honoring what this past year was for us, what money has allowed for us to do. We will start to vision and set some bold and realistic financial stretch goals for your business this year, help you to, start to create an action plan on reaching those goals. We'll look at releasing some negative feelings that we might feel around money and create a more powerful and pleasurable relationship with our finances. And you'll create a mini leap for yourself to start bringing in immediate income, whenever you want to and whenever you need to. So, and we talked a little bit about that on the forum of, what's one of your, favorite ways to bring in income quickly. You already got a couple of inspirations from the panel earlier. I'm going to tell you just a little bit more about my money story and why I'm passionate about talking about money as well. So I mentioned earlier, I've been an entrepreneur and business owner for going on, well, I think it's past 20 years at this point. I've logged in well over 25,000 hours of leading groups. I grew up very middle class, Midwest, in the sense that, I would hear things like, I married for funny, not money. I would also see around me kind of this judgment of rich people being bad or not good. And I also came from a family of artists, right? So I majored in dance. My mom was my dance teacher. My dad was my theater director. I majored in dance, and I came out to San Francisco to dance professionally out here in the Bay Area. And I became a massage therapist to basically fund my dance career. And I was barely making ends meet in one of the, most expensive cities in the country. And when I became a coach, I was also working that dollars per hour and one-on-one business model, which left me, broke and burning the candle at both ends, especially at the beginning. And I was working, 12 plus hour work days, staying up till 2 a.m., up to my ears in credit card debt. Over a 15-year period, I probably got myself into, $75,000 worth of credit card debt or something. And very much on the other side of that now, but was at that point just trying to make ends meet by hopefully securing my next private client. I frequently dipped into the red. I didn't pay attention to finances. I didn't, have a plan at that point to get out of debt. I was an avoider, wouldn't pay my taxes on time, you name it, blah, 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 right? So my money story, this kind of very crusty old fear-based money story was deep. It was racked with guilt and shame. It was painful and scary. And honestly, I didn't know what to do. But all of that shifted when I hired my first business coaches about 10 years ago, Carrie Peters, Stacey Morgenstern of what was then called Holistic MBA. And I started to uncover and unpack my money mindset and rewire my money story. And I started to pay attention to my finances, and I landed on my sweet spot of creating and leading experiential group programs and retreats. And that year I went on to double my income. And since then have nearly 5 times it by working considerably less. And now we have a multi-6-figure company that more than doubled in revenue during the pandemic. I kind of talked about that with my babe, and we had our highest revenue year this past year. And I know that, oh, hey guys, I'm on a workshop.
I know.
Hi.
All doors are locked.
Okay. Let's say hi to my mom and my little kid. Okay.
Bye.
This is what we do at home, working from home. anyway, I know how it can, feel challenging to grow and expand a business and up level your financial flow and move through it. And, it's scary. It's scary to start that process. And it's hard even when you've made, so much progress and you want to kind of take it to the next level. But I do know it's possible to strengthen that relationship and do your business in a way that feels good and spacious and aligned to you. And that's what we're going to dive on during this call. So I just invite you to ask yourself what it is that you would like to receive from this workshop, what it would mean for you to expand your business. If you have one, and grow your wealth this year, go ahead and write that down in whatever you're taking notes on. And just take a moment to feel into that. And if you feel compelled to share that in the chat, I welcome that. So again, what do you hope to receive from this workshop today specifically? Why are you here? What would it mean for you to expand your business and grow your wealth this year? What would it allow for you to do? Go ahead and type that into the chat if you are able. I'll give you just a minute to feel into that question. And also asking yourself, how would it feel? How would it feel to have expanded your work and your income moving into 2023 and really living out the vision of this business and life that you want to see for yourself? How would that feel for you? And then lastly, what's the impact that you'd like to create? What's the positive impact and ripple effect that you want to create from expanding your work in this way? So Magnolia says, I love to alleviate the shame I hold around what I haven't figured out yet around money. If I could let go of the shame, I think so much more will be possible for me in business, money, and life. Yes. And I just resonate so much with that, Magnolia, because that was really where I was for a long time, was in that shame space. And it was painful, and it was, really heavy for me. And we have to, in order to alleviate this shame, we have to acknowledge it first. So Annabelle says, I resonate with the shame too. And, I think one of the things I will say is that for me, I wasn't taught about money. I give major shout outs to my parents. They did such an amazing job. But one thing that we did not do was talk about money at all, ever. And so for me, there wasn't any awareness. I love to receive steps and things to think about as I'm creating business. And this includes my thoughts about money. Yes, absolutely, Sue. I'm just trying to figure out how to go bigger. Yeah, Julie. I'm also resonating with the shame thing. Neither did my family talk about money, right? And so in a lot of these old thought processes, that's where it comes from, is from our familial upbringing, right? And that's why it's important to kind of look at our old money stories. We don't have a ton of time to do this really deep work. I go deeper in with my private clients and in the inner circle, but we will kind of look at some of these core pieces too today. So let's go ahead and dive into, and thank you so much for, sharing in the chat as well and openly sharing there. But the first action to take is to honor 2022, right? I don't need to be the one to tell you that these past couple of years have been challenging. And I don't know about you, but for me, it felt like this third year of the pandemic just felt like this cumulative heaviness. And so, there were a lot of challenges, but there was also a lot of beauty. And, I think it's important to honor a particular year and have that moment of reflection so that, you know, we can move forward and actually, you know, take a moment to honor what we have done and created, even if it didn't look exactly like we thought it was going to. So this is really about honoring what's happened, what occurred, that's worthy of acknowledgement and celebration. And so your action here is to make a list of some of the incredible things that money has allowed for you to do and learn and experience this past year. And I do want to give a shout out. A couple of these prompts have been inspired by the book, You're a Badass at Making Money by Jen Sincero. Just want to voice that. She is a badass. Definitely recommend checking that book out if you're not familiar with it. So writing down a list of incredible things that money has allowed for you to do and learn and experience this year. And just kind of free form writing it down. I'm going to give you a minute. You know, any business investments that allowed for you to expand your income, or not, or just that gave you more tools so that you can expand your income in the future. Things that you are able to, places that you are able to go, ways that you may have been able to serve your community in a greater way, even that cute pair of shoes that you were able to buy. So whatever money has done for you that you want to claim and honor and celebrate. Oh, and I like the comments coming in too. Yeah, you can keep them coming into the chat, but feel free to just take a moment to write this down in your journal as well, or however this is gonna be, you know, most fruitful for you. And Julie says, once a month shopping and lunching adventures, a trip to France, food for all of my animals. Love it. So yeah, write down whatever's coming to mind immediately. And then I would invite you to take some additional space after this call to do some additional journaling and writing and reflection on this. And again, I shared earlier, when I do this, I like to think about things that maybe didn't turn out the way I thought they were going to, but that I learned a powerful lesson from, right? Some of the lemons that maybe inspired you to make lemonade out of. And we can, you know, again, come back to the forum conversation around, you know, that moment that Brandy talked about, having to pivot, and then being able to create something that built something that she wasn't even expecting to, right? So writing down those kind of pieces as well. Any other celebrations? I invite writing in the chat too. I'd love to hear. And as you're continuing to write, I think we're gonna start to shift into our Queen Action number 2 here, which is to, and I'm seeing Sue, your comment here, all the travel, new kitchen counters, a new fireplace. Yes, I'll say money. One of the things I want to acknowledge about money was that I was able to go invest in a really high-end retreat experience where I met Brandy at, and a couple of our additional panelists from previous forums, and build new relationships with folks and get back into the world again. That felt really empowering, and I'm just super grateful that I was able to make that investment so I could build those relationships and create new opportunities and get inspired myself and be on the other side of holding space for everyone, which I think is one of the most important things to do to facilitator, coach, space holder, business owner, making sure that you are getting held, you are getting supported, which you're doing right now, which is amazing. Freedom to invest in self, take care of me and my little one, take the master. Yes, the Kali Masa is taking the our mastermind course from last year, our inner circle course from last year, traveling to Maui for self-care, move unexpectedly into a new co-housing community that I love so much. Yeah. And so, you know, there's so much, even if it did not look how we wanted it to, that money has been able and allowed for us to do. So just continuing that conversation, let's move into action number 2, which is to acknowledge some of the challenging feelings that we might still be holding around money. So this is one of the big ones that many of us overlook, and we want to avoid, right? And so I think that one of the biggest keys to moving through our old money stories and getting to what it is that you really want to see for yourself is to acknowledge it, air it out, give voice to those old stories, so that we can create a new money legacy that we want to be living and then leave the world moving forward, right? So this is just really, really important to acknowledge kind of these old thoughts, and it's okay. I want to just say the old thoughts, and even if they've come back in and crept in, we're in a different economic climate right now, you know, than we were 2 years ago when the pandemic hit. That was a scary moment. We're in a kind of I think a crunchy moment now, and there's going to continue to be these moments, these cyclical moments of expansion and contraction. And so there's always work to be done. There's always, you know, acknowledgement to do around where we're at a particular moment with our money story, right? But it really is about airing it out here. So the first piece here is to write down any limiting beliefs or challenging thoughts or feelings that you're currently holding around money. So, you know, maybe write down one thought that you might still be holding, or one belief that seems to be lurking around. And we're just going to do this for a minute or two right now for the purpose of today. And then again, I invite you to go deeper with this, and you can write down additional pieces. We're on a full moon as well. So definitely this is like a powerful moment to be doing this work and getting rid of some of these, you know, doing rituals to release. And I'll give you some ideas on how to do that too. So just take a moment to write down one or two thoughts or beliefs that you might have. And this is really about bringing those fears and doubts and guilt and shame and any of those limiting beliefs to the forefront so that we can transform those into creativity, creative fuel, which leads to curiosity and possibility and building confidence, and inevitably then creating change and creating a new story, right? So one of the old thoughts I already mentioned from my old money story growing up, that I heard and I think I held as well, was that making money is bad, or people that make money are bad. That was one of the ones that I grew up with, right? So we're writing the belief down, and then we want to transform that belief into a new belief, even if we don't fully believe it yet, right? So this is a bit of a 4-part process. Ronnie's typing this all into the chat as you go along here. And I want you to go ahead and state the old belief. So whatever that belief that comes in, is to, yeah, so one that just came in is not deserving more, not valuing my skills, right? So that's the old belief, right? So in my case, making money is bad, or people that make money, people that make money are bad. So you state the belief, that's the first step. The second step is ask yourself, is that absolutely true? Are all people that have money bad? Right? Ask yourself, is that absolutely true? Whatever your belief is. And then the third piece of that is to say, what else might be true? Ask yourself, what else might be true? All right. So an action for me is was to make a list of people that have money that are doing good in the world, right? Oprah, Deepak Chopra, Brene Brown, the list goes on and on, right? So, right, we state the belief, the old belief, ask yourself, is this true? Is this actually absolutely true? What else might be true? And then create the new belief. Making money can be a powerful and positive gift to the world. So that's the new belief system that I am working with now, that I fully believe. At the beginning of doing that process, I certainly wasn't there quite yet. It took me a while to get behind that. But over time, continuing to see these people that were doing good in the world that had money, I was able to fully believe that, right? This, process is deep, and you can do this with each of your beliefs, right, that come up, and just start this rewiring process. It allows for you to see the benefit of the opposite belief, so that instead of just stating the opposite, your kind of deeper digging allows for you to really see what the benefit is, right? So taking yourself through that deeper dive process allows for you to really see what the benefit is of this new belief, right? Okay, I just want to pause and ask if there's any questions, or anyone that has a thought or a question or comment around this. And we can can we raise hands and things, Ronnie? I think you can raise your hand. Can they raise hands?
I'm not sure. I think they could do something in the Q&A.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah, you can.
I have a raise hand option. Will an attendee raise their hand and see if I can see anything? Yes, they can raise hands, and I can pull them up.
Okay, cool. So does anyone have a question or a thought or a comment, or want to workshop this really quick? And if not, it's all good. We can keep going.
Thank you, Sue, for helping us figure that out.
Okay, just checking in, seeing if everything's making sense so far. But definitely want to, okay, Gigi. Let me see here. Fearful belief to transform. I can't really afford to spend more money on me until I'm sure I can reach my essential budget needs. What else can be true? I attract an abundance of money and ample time available to afford and add creation time and coaching to my schedule. Yes, new belief. The perfect opportunities will arise to fund my ability to start a new business this year. Realistically, woohoo! I love that. Thank you, Jennifer, AKA Gigi. I love that. Yeah, and it's true, right? Like, we have those belief systems around spending money. I certainly did too. I know the first time I ever made a financial investment for my coaching business specifically, again, working with who I mentioned earlier, Carrie Peters and Stacey Morgenstern, That investment was 4K. And I mean, again, I had been racked up to my ears with credit card debt, and I literally had 4K left on my card. And I was, everything else would have said, no, don't make that investment. But I knew I had to get the support. I knew that this was a different type of investment and that I needed to invest in myself first to be able. And, I made a very clear contract with the universe. I was like, I'm paying this off within 4 months. To speak to what Brandy said earlier, it's not our business to actually know the how right away. I was like, I'm going to do what it takes. And I actually didn't have to do a ton other than create the program, because someone was walking down the street at the massage therapy place that I was working at the time, got onto and saw that I was a coach, got onto my website and signed up for that new program that I created within a month. That was the time frame I gave myself, and paid in full. And it was the exact same investment as the program that I invested in. And I'm not saying that that's going to happen to everybody, but you have to trust your gut and take the leaps and take the risks. I believe in business. It's, part of what's required, and I'm not saying don't not make investments either, but just trust your gut. Beautiful. Okay. So number 3, we're going to clarify where we're heading financially for 2023 and your why behind that. So, knowing why you are doing what you're doing is crucial for being successful with reaching your goals, right? And, some of the panelists earlier talked about writing things down 100%. I am a huge advocate of that. And this is part of why you're here. So if we want to build wealth, we have to stretch ourselves out of our comfort zone and, get crystal clear as to why we want to call in the revenue that we're seeking. It doesn't necessarily mean, again, as Nadia shared earlier, that we have to make more, but just get clear of where you're heading this year and your why. Now, you may not get clarity by the end of this call, like I said, but this is a moment for you to just tap in and get curious about your financial goals for 2023. Okay. So first things first, I'll just ask you, if you were to know, what would you like to set as a financial stretch goal for your business this year for 2023? Again, you may not have clarity around this at all, but just start getting curious about a number that would feel good, right, and aligned for you. And I like to call this a realistic financial stretch goal. We don't want to stretch ourselves so big that it feels like completely out of the realm of possibility, right? But enough that it might be a bit of a stretch. And again, it could be exactly the same or even scaling back if you have other reasons around that. So what do you want to make? What would you like to generate in terms of numbers? What would feel good and aligned for you that you can energetically get behind? And don't overthink this right now. I invite actually whatever's like coming through in this moment to just write down, and don't worry about the how, the high. Don't worry about the how right now. But what I do want you to know is what's your why? What's your why? So one of the things that you can start to do is make a list of all the exciting and incredible things that making this amount of money this year would allow for you to do in 2023. Okay. We're not going to have time to dive into this huge list right now, but I do invite you, if you're able, just start chicken scratch writing it down. What are some of the things that making this amount of money will allow for you to do this year? And also making a list about how cultivating more wealth will benefit others' lives in 2023, ways that you can give back, or also understanding that, you know, when you put your services out there in a greater way, or you start enrolling more people into your programming, your offerings, that is ultimately a way of giving back. Your services are needed and desired for your community, right? And when we're withholding these programs and not putting them out in the world for fear, or not feeling ready, not feeling good enough, whatever some of those other old limiting belief patterns are around worthiness, that we're withholding this incredible offering that could benefit the lives of our community that we're meant to serve, right? And so, this is also about getting out of our own way so that we can really step into our leadership this year as well. So it's, win-win. Would love to hear in the chat just a couple of ways that, making more money or whatever your financial goal is, will benefit, both your and others' lives. So feel free to type that in the chat too. And so, again, it's a full moon. Great to dive into this work on a deeper level later tonight, maybe making a little sacred space, doing some additional rituals to help support. And I didn't mention this earlier, but around some of your belief systems, later tonight would be a really powerful time to do a fire releasing ritual, to write down, some of the things that these old belief patterns that you have, lighting a fire, release them to the flame, and then stating a new, thought process or money story to the fire out loud. Yell it out, do whatever you need to do, or work with the elements in a different way. Yesterday, another thing I did was I live in Petaluma, California. We've had really, really intense storms happening the last week. And we had a little break in the weather. It was still raining, but I went outside. It wasn't as windy and wild storms. And I went outside and I was literally yelling in the rain, like releasing, getting things out, feeling that full moon energy coming. And I really felt cleansed and like amazing afterwards. So you could do something like that, either be safe, whatever you're doing. But, work with the elements to help move through some of these old thought processes too. Okay, I know something came in the chat, so I want to read that. Okay, so I'd like to make 80K. I want to cover my expenses without accumulating more debt and instead pay off the debt I have. I want to start preparing my life for a family, and I don't want to enter a partnership with someone or bring a child into this world with a lack of responsibility and proactivity around my finances. Beautiful. Feels very clear, Magnolia, and your why. The satisfaction of using my creativity to provide me, my family, and community, and be able to give back. There will be a bonfire tonight. I love it. Good. That's what we want. We're getting witchy with it. Okay, and so let's move on to our fourth action here. So again, we don't need to know the how. We don't need to have all the clarity right now around the how. And we want to support you in, getting some balls rolling in that direction, right? And so step 4 is to dial in the how with pleasure. So this is about, asking yourself how you would like to, and just getting curious about how you would like to start achieving this money stretch goal, right? When my clients and community come to work with me, the how is usually the hardest part and is where they're getting stuck, right? And so this is about, seeing the tangible, having an action plan, setting bold goals, and then taking those empowered steps forward to reach those goals. Again, we go way deeper into this in the Revolutionizing Fempreneurship Inner Circle. So in a couple of minutes, I will talk about that, and actually just to just let you know now, there's an opportunity for you to just get on the phone with me for an activation call if you want to explore taking this work to a deeper level and explore what getting support in Inner Circle or some of our private programs might look like this year. And Ronnie will be typing that link to book that activation call in the chat, so you can get on the books. We'll also send some emails afterwards to encourage you to sign up and just have a moment for you and I to get on the phone one-on-one to connect about your vision and what it is that you're calling in for yourself for 2023. But there are ways that you can kind of start getting creative on the how and thinking outside of the box to create offerings that can help build wealth and create those stretch goals now, right? And so asking yourself what you will create, what you would like to create and offer the world this year to move towards those stretch goals, what I like to call your core aligned offerings for 2023. So this is these are your core aligned offerings for 2023. You, again, do not need to have any clarity whatsoever about what they are. Some of you might have total clarity right now and just need to put an action plan in place, need to get a launch calendar in place. Right now, what we're going to do is just give you some ideas, but we definitely invite you to start with what's most lighting you up and what you can realistically handle that feels like a bit of a stretch. So some of the examples for experiential offerings that you can begin to hone in on this year are private coaching programming, right? Private coaching or mentoring programs. It's interesting. I know a lot of people in the yoga industry, and they, end up mentoring folks in so many different ways in their classes. And, this could be about starting some sort of, private personalized mentorship experience that might include some yoga and some, philosophy or mentorship of some kind, right, in a private format, right? You can also look into, and this is my sweet spot, I love creating group work. So experiential 3 to 12 month multifaceted group offerings like Inner Circle, that I'm so passionate about. And Inner Circle is a 6-month mastermind style program that also has 4 months of additional support. It is a group. It is multifaceted. It has group components in person at 3-day retreats that are a part of it, as well as private coaching and virtual group components, right? So this is where I call the experiential multifaceted group program that has all these different components and elements to it that we can start to infuse, into our business model. Another idea would be a monthly women's circle, or maybe it's seasonal, maybe it's quarterly, right? Maybe you work with it on either the new moon or the full moon. Maybe you just do it, 4 times out of the year, and something that might be a little bit more casual, a shorter time frame, that sort of thing. You could look at day-long or weekend or week-long retreats. All of those things can be done virtually as well, or they can be a mix and a combination of them. 4 to 8 week workshop series, 4 to 8 week online training courses. I've been doing these really long-term programs, and I've got, a couple coming up. We've got, the inner circle I was mentioning for business expansion. And then I also have a women's circle I lead that follows the Wheel of the Year in person in Petaluma. So Bay Area folks and whoever's willing to come in 8 times for these beautiful day-long retreats happen. But I also am getting really excited about doing a 4-week, a 4 to 6 week, I'm still working on it, herbal and movement workshop, like spring renewal series. I'm also a trained herbalist, and it's like a passion of mine. And I'm like, I just want to do this. I just want to do this for fun, kind of speaking to what Nadia talked about earlier. It's like following the flow. And so, see what is lighting you up right now and see what makes the most sense, right? A couple other ideas: networking collective, membership clubs. There's so many different ways that you can work with this. So just start to brainstorm what it is that you're going to put out this year. And, I would invite you to choose 1 to 2 of these that you could focus on building out for Q1 and Q2 of 2023. So Q1 and Q2, first half of the year, right? January, February, March, April, May, June. See where you want to maybe put them on a timeline, and then work backwards from macro to micro on how to get those offerings filled. Again, we go much deeper in our programs and support on the how to and helping you devise a clear plan and launch plan, all the things. We also go into, price points, all of that. But, with your numbers, and this is a bonus goal, is to begin to dial in the numbers, right? So if I know, okay, I have 2 offerings I want to fill for, Q1 and 2, the first half of this year, and I want to reach X stretch goal for the year, then, okay, I've got to cut that stretch goal potentially in half. I need to, see about how many people I would need to fill it, and then figure out my price points from there, right? And so you can start to dial into your, your numbers that way. How many folks do you need to get into your offerings? How do you need to price them in order to reach that financial goal? Last skill here we're going to go into is to make an immediate leap now, an immediate mini leap now. This is a concept that leadership coach Tara Sophia Moore talks a lot about, which is just called this concept of leaping. And the idea is that you create a leaping action that gets you playing bigger now, closer to the financial goal, and that can be completed in 2 weeks. It's simple, it gets you excited, it stretches you out of your comfort zone, and it can help you to either generate income right away, or it can help you to get closer to that, closer to generating that income, right? And so a couple of ideas around that could be potentially hosting a pop-up workshop maybe in 2 weeks from now. It's quick. Nadia also spoke to that, just throwing things out there. And I like to have plans in the books, but I also like to have some freedom within that too. And I will pull plans and put something else in if it doesn't feel aligned to me. And I think it's also great to, I'm a big proponent of space and giving, more space than you need. And I'm constantly, continuously working on this, and Ronnie can attest to this, and Emily can attest to this. We are working on this as a team to, create more spaciousness in our launches, but also you can make shit happen in a short period of time too. It's possible, right? And my first day-long retreat I ever led, I got the idea, and from 3 weeks from that idea to the actual retreat was a 3-week period, and had 20 people there. So, you can make things happen in a short period of time, instead of doing hosting a workshop or something like that, maybe you offer an upgrade option for your current clients on payment plans to pay them off and receive a small discount to bring a large chunk of money in a short period of time. Maybe you schedule a personal outreach, like Khadija was sharing earlier, a personal outreach campaign, just inviting people to your list or to personal people, inviting people into a conversation with you. So there's so many different ideas here. Ronnie's posting some of these into the chat. If you're an artist, you could do an art show, or a pop-up concert. If you're, a musician, or I did one time for my getting money for my postpartum self-care plan. I wanted to raise some money to get body work, and I was still making jewelry at the time. That's another thing I didn't mention, but I'm not currently making it. But I did in the past, and I held a flash sale on my jewelry, sold it all, made like $1,500 in like a week or something. And that was my postpartum plan money, right? And so there's just lots of different ways that you can make money quickly, and also take a bold leap to get closer to that goal. Maybe you go through your house, find some things that you want to sell on eBay, right? There's all sorts of things here. And then the other thing is to just make sure that it's rooted in pleasure. Have fun with it. Make sure it feels good and playful and joyful, and not like this heavy thing, burdening thing that you have to do, right? See how you can infuse more joy and pleasure and make it feel aligned to you, whatever this mini leap is. Okay. So let's go over these 5 actions that we just covered, these wealth building actions, and then we're going to wrap. So the first action was to honor 2022. The second action was to acknowledge the challenging feelings that you still currently hold around money and start rewiring that. The third action is to clarify where you're heading financially in 2023 and your big why. The fourth action is to dial in the how, start dialing in the how with pleasure. And the fifth action is to make a bold and beautiful, immediate mini leap to take action on that financial goal. All right, so awesome job. Those are basically your action steps to move forward with. Also weave in your ritual if it feels aligned to do tonight on the full moon, something that you play with that really helps activate a release of some of this old, maybe 2022 in general. Also the just old belief patterns that you might be holding still, and see how you claim what it is that you're moving forward with. And then just wanting to share quickly with you again, if this work is aligning with you in any way, and you know that you need support in the coming year to move you forward with your business, and you're curious about the Revolutionizing Fempreneurship Inner Circle, or private coaching, or even the Solstice Sisterhood if you are local, I invite you to just get on the phone with me for a conversation. I am a huge proponent, and again, you can go to ashleyburnett.co/inner circle, and there is a link on that page, and regardless of what program you are a good fit for, you can just click on the link on that page. And Ronnie's typing that direct link in the chat as well. And just book yourself in for an activation call with me. I have no attachment to outcome of whether or not we would continue to work together in any capacity or not. But it is a powerful moment for you and I to get on the phone, look at, your goals and visions and dreams for this year, see what is stopping you or feels challenging about that, or what might slow you down from that, and see how stepping into either Inner Circle, private programming, or Solstice Sisterhood might be able to support you in reaching those goals and visions, right? And I, again, don't have any attachment of whether or not you step into any of that on that call, but it's really a powerful moment to get more clarity and see what feels most aligned for you in terms of support. And I'll say again, get support. Get support. There's so many, I've been in that DIY moment. I know how it is to want to feel like you want to DIY your business. But let me tell you, I'm so grateful that I have support from this team, from my strategists, from my personal community and coaches, because I haven't felt motivated this year yet. And that's okay. It's totally okay to not feel motivated. But what it does when you have a container and a community and support network is that it stretches you out of your comfort zone. It holds you accountable. It gets you inspired and motivated and activated towards visions that you didn't even know that you had, because you're getting, inspired by other brilliant minds in the cohort or by your team that's supporting you. And, you have perspective because you're not this close to yourself trying to, do your business, right? And so that's why it's so important to have coaches and community and folks that can hold your vision with you and help you create the how, help you to, devise a plan to help you to get from point A to point B. So I'd be honored to have that conversation with you, and you can go to ashleyburnett.co/inner circle to check out that particular program. Click on the link on that page and sign your buns up for an activation session over the next couple of weeks. Inner Circle starts on the 25th. Solstice Sisterhood starts on the 2nd. And, private coaching we can look at if you're not ready for group work or not aligned for group work right now, and you need a little more one-on-one hand holding. So I just want to say thank you so much to each and every one of you for being here, for the team, for supporting me. Again, to our panel for inspiring us earlier. It's been an honor and a joy to be with you here today. Please reach out to Ashley at ashleyburnett.co with any other additional questions or thoughts. And if you are still here and you want to type in on the chat just a takeaway that you have from today, I'd welcome that before we wrap. And I'll say for me, I'm re-inspired. And it's just good to be, here doing what I do best, which is facilitating, holding space, and creating this connection. So, so grateful for you. And yeah, Kali Ma, I'm excited to get on the phone with you later today. Julie says, I'm inspired. Thank you. I was in a funk. Sue says, thank you so much. Love the earth connection. Yeah, working with, and setting our businesses up in a way that, works with the elements of nature. It's so important, right? We can feel so separated from our businesses. It's so important to be able to get into our bodies and into working with the earth and working with business in a way that feels good and aligned and in this more femme forward way. So just super grateful for you all. You are all so welcome for being here. I look forward to continuing to get connected with you all. And please reach out if you have any other pieces. Let me see. I'm getting a couple of more in the chat. Thank you. This was inspiring for me. Lots of ideas flowing. Women are freaking amazing. Thanks for bringing it. This was great. Thank you. And all the panelists. I appreciate all the ideas, and I will be intentional to take action steps. I'm inspired and grateful for my life's calling and my business. Beautiful. Is the recording going to be available yet later? Yes. So we will be emailing you a recording and also the link to book in for a one-on-one session too. And yeah, I don't know at what point today, but in a few hours once the recording is downloaded. And please share share the, what we would love for you to do if you have people in your community, would resonate with this, is if you could send them to ashleyburnett.co/forum. Later today, we're actually going to shift that page, that sign up page, to the recording page so they can get the recording as well. So feel free to, keep spreading the word about this. We would be grateful to, have your support in that, and wishing you a beautiful 2023. So let's wrap it out. Ronnie, feel free to unmute with me. Unmute 2023. Yes. Okay, y'all. Thank you so much. Thanks, Emily, for being on the sidelines there supporting us, and my whole team. I'll give a shout out to everything that it took to get this going today. So lots of love to all, and have a beautiful rest of your day. I hope to talk soon. Bye, everyone.